Hey guys, Ace here and welcome to C++ tutorial number 26. Today we're just going to be looking at a bit more on scope. Okay. Don't worry, we'll get to return types. I think should be next tutorial, so you'll have that to look forward to. Now, one thing a lot of people don't realize is that when we call a function and give it the arguments we want to give it, the function doesn't get the actual the variable we supplied. It gets a copy of that variable. Okay, imagine we have remember the pen situation we had, where we had the two pens full of sheep. Okay, so we got one pen for the main function and one pen for this change xy function, which takes two parameters, x and y. Okay. Now imagine in the main function we have two sheep, the x and y sheep, and in the change xy function we have none. Now we call the change xy with the arguments x and y from the main function. Now the x and y sheep inside the main pen are cloned, and those clones are brought over into change xy. So anything we do to the ones in the change xy pen will not affect the ones in the main pen. Okay, so just to demonstrate this, I've got this change xy function, and let's take a look at what it actually does. It outputs the xy values it's received, and it swaps them around. So temp is equal to x, x is equal to y, y is equal to temp. Okay, and then it outputs them again to show that they've swapped. But what happens is, before we call that function, we output the xy in the main, and after we output the xy in the main. Let's take a look at the results we get. So the first in main, before the function, outputs 5, 6. Now in the function, it outputs 5, 6 again. Still in the function, it outputs 6, 5. And now out of the function and back in main, it outputs 5, 6. So clearly, the function, the x and y in the main function haven't changed, and that's because the change xy function receives clones or copies of the arguments it gets when it's called. Okay, and that's very important to understand. Now there are ways around this, but that's a couple of tutorials in front of us. We've still got a ways to go through functions. There's a lot of things we can do. Again, if you have any questions, leave a comment, send me a message, or send me a contact form. Pretty quick tutorial. Hopefully you guys understand all this pretty easily. Anyways guys, over and out. Hey guys, I lied. Not over and out just yet. I just been reviewing what I said in this well, for you guys a couple of seconds ago, for me a couple of minutes ago, and I think something may not have been quite as clear as I want it to be. What's important to know about scope is that okay, so when we pass the x and y from main into the change xy function, they now exist locally, which means they exist only within this function, and once we go out of the function, they are destroyed. Okay, once we go out of the function, they are no longer existent, and for this reason we can actually call change xy several times. Okay, that will work, because every time we go out of the function, the variables are destroyed. If they weren't destroyed, remember when I tried to do this in a previous tutorial, I tried to do that, and it said, hey, wait a minute, multiple declaration, you can't do that. And it gave me a compiler. So it's only because when you go out of scope, or when you go out of the closing curly brace of a function, and that the variables are destroyed, that you can call that function many times. So remember when we in this tutorial, when we called this function with xy and we saw the values change within the function, if we called that again, it would look exactly the same. Let's just do that again quickly. You can see here 5 6, that's in main. Now we're in the function 5 6 change over 6 5, and then we call it again here 5 6 6 5. That's because the variables are destroyed after we exit this call of the function, and then they're renewed here. So the values don't change over from change xy here, and then they stay the same here. Okay. They're destroyed and then they're recreated for every call of the function. Okay, so that's just one really quite important thing to know. If you didn't really know that, it could be quite problematic. So anyway, guys, really to end this tutorial now, over and out.